KSP2 is dead. Long live KSP. What is KSP? This is KSP. KSP1, what's that? There's only one Kerbal Space Program game and it's this, KSP. So, here we are, playing Kerbal Space Program on this channel once again. It's been quite a while, and I didn't really know how best to return to this magnificent game. So I was thinking, what's one of the hallmark things that I do on this channel, and that is building SSTOs, single stage to orbit space planes. And I haven't built one of those in quite some time because I've been playing a lot of Kerbal Space Program 2. And you can't really build good SSTOs in that game. You can make sort of decent ones that go to low Kerbin orbit, but going anywhere beyond that, it ends up just everyone builds the same thing, just a big long line of hydrogen tanks with a swerve engine, because that's really the only viable way of doing it, because hydrogen is not a very dense fuel. So they just look ugly, and they're just not as satisfying. You can't be as creative as you can be in KSP, because, the nuclear engines in this game pull liquid fuel, not their own proprietary fuel type. So you can kind of mix and match and come up with some fun old designs. So that's what I tried to do with building this space plane here. I didn't want to just make like a Mark II space plane again and end up just, for me at least, you guys might be the same. I find it really difficult to try and build something differently. Do you know what I mean? You have your own style when it comes to building rockets and planes and bases and what have you. And so you end up sort of get tunnel visioned a bit, and you end up building things the same way over and over again. Maybe this isn't making sense. I hope it is, though. So I decided to try and spice things up. So I came up with this little, glass-topped fuselage thing with those lander can pieces, and I flanked them with those Mark I passenger bays, and I added a little orange tank in the middle for visual flair, and I think this came out pretty nicely. Now, going forward, this is not going to be how I return to KSP, just doing what I was doing before KSP2 released. But this week, has been busy. To be honest, I have sort of been waiting to see if we would actually hear any news on the fate of Kerbal Space Program 2, considering we all paid $50 for it. There was a lot riding on this. I was told personally by its creative director that it would not get cancelled. It was fully funded. Take-Two would see it through to the end. And now it's just been radio silence for 2 weeks while staff are just hemorrhaging from Intercept Games. So really, who knows? But here we are, firing up the engines. Oh, feel those babies roar to life. Yes, okay, KSP's sound design isn't really as good as its sequel, but, this is the Waterfall mod, and it's pretty darn close when it comes to the sound, and indeed the visual effects. Looks beautiful. In fact, the game looks really, really good with visual mods. I got a few installed. Waterfall, as I just mentioned, that does all the engine stuff. We've got Parallax as well, adding all the ground scatter. We have Scatterer as well, the mod that makes oceans and lighting effects look good. Environmental visual enhancements, and we have the latest version of Black Rack's volumetric clouds mod. I believe this update came out in December of 2023. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was when the latest update dropped. And it just looks amazing. The clouds look better than they do in KSP2. Although I suppose KSP2's final update, the clouds did become better, because guess what? The creator of the volumetric clouds mod was hired and just put his mod in KSP2. And it was better than the clouds that were made by professional game designers. So yeah, that's a thing. So yes, I kind of got a bit sidetracked, but not really, kind of. So rewinding, I'm not just going to be doing this, doing what I was doing in KSP prior to KSP2 releasing, where I just do trips around the stock system, whatever. I will mix it up, but this week, like I said, I was kind of waiting to see if we'd hear news so I could make a video discussing the new news, but I guess that's not going to happen at this point. And aside from that, from Friday, I'm away at the weekend, basically. I'm away all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday at a wedding, so I only had a limited amount of time to make this video. And I thought, I'd ease back into Kerbal Space Program, get used to the builder again, get used to the UI again, and just do a nice, simple, straightforward mission with an SSTO, because I haven't done one of those in a while, and you guys, some people say that I'm kind of known as the SSTO guy. So gotta honour that tradition in some form, haven't we? Don't know if I should have really talked about the flight profile. I've done a lot of SSTO videos at this point. I'm guessing this isn't the first video of mine that you're watching. maybe this will go viral and get 10 billion views. Let's see if we can get that, guys. 10 billion views, a million likes. Make sure you like the video and send it to all of your friends. We're going to try and get the first billion-view Kerbal Space Program video. Let's go. But look at that. Oh, look at that. I just looked at the screen. The Rapier's in closed cycle mode with that beautiful plume as we have flame out. Well, we don't have flame out. I just turned them off. We are going to need to activate their closed cycle mode one more time just to circularize, because we've only got those 2 nuclear engines powering this craft. And I forgot just how bad the thrust to weight ratio of the nuclear engines is. So in order to kind of circularize around Kerbin, we're going to do a quick sort of burst using the last, using the final... the remaining oxidizer in the fuel tanks. We're going to use that to perform our circularization. Now, although I did sort of slander KSP2 at the beginning of this video, it's extremely likely I'm going to do at least one more video in that game if the game truly is scrapped. Like, we've had that one pathetic tweet from the official account saying we're still working on the game, and then boop, absolutely nothing. All the while devs are saying they've lost their jobs. And have you guys seen the Shadow Zone video that came out yesterday that I cameoed in? I really hope he does actually upload that on Friday, and I haven't just like spoiled the fact that Shadow Zone's releasing this massive expose journalist. It's a very good video. Well, I haven't seen it yet. He did send it to me to watch. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it yet, but I have read the script, and I have talked. I've sent recordings. I know that's going to be 10 out of 10 because it's me, obviously. So, you know, it's a very well-researched piece. It's going to be very eye-opening to see if it triggers any response from, you know, official Kerbal Space Program sources. It won't, let's be real. But, you know, we could dream, right? So, if KSP2 truly is dead, when the coffin arrives and it's all, you know, it's done, it's like... I imagine what's going to happen is they've got a skeleton crew just trying to get one final update just out, and then they'll just announce end of early access or whatever. It will just, nothing will happen after that. There's no crew, that everyone leaves their jobs, and we can just accept like, well, that was the final update, nothing more is going to come. And I'll make like a one final tortured video in Kerbal Space Program 2, and just, it'll be a nice reflective piece. Maybe I could even like make a little musical montage looking back at the journey that we all went on with Kerbal Space Program. So I don't know. I think we need some sort of final closure video from me, because my final Kerbal Space Program 2 video is kind of sad because I made it literally a day before Take-Two axed Intercept Games, and so I was like, oh yeah, I had this glitch, guys, but you know, it might be patched in the next update. We never know. The next update is probably going to come soon. I'm really excited about the future of this game. Then bang, I uploaded that video, got ready to publish, and I opened Twitter. Or X, whatever, dead naming. It's a stupid name. And I was like, oh, well, everything's just gone to very badly. So, and then Reddit just imploded, and I messaged my contact. They're like, we can't talk about it. We're not allowed to. So, you know, I then had to edit the video again just to add a little disclaimer. Say, by the way, guys, for the next however long the video was, half an hour, I'm going to be talking as if KSP2 has a future, because I made this like one day prior to everything going wrong. So, you know, sorry. That was like my final video, and it was a tutorial. It was part of a series. I'm like, in the next episode we're going to do X, Y, Z. So, you know, just I'll have to do some sort of closure, I think, on KSP2, because it's been a big part of my life for the past over a year, actually, you know. So yeah, and obviously since 2019. Do you remember how hopeful we all were? 2019, 4 years ago. Doesn't feel like 4 years ago, but then when you think about how it was before COVID, it was the before times. I feel like humanity peaked in 2019, right? And that trailer was just like, oh, I remember it blowing up, hit the front page of Reddit, like the actual front page of Reddit, not, you know, KSP front page of Reddit. Like, it got to the top of gaming. It was either r/gaming or r/videos. One of the big subreddits, like, it got really hype on that. So yeah. So what am I doing in this video? I said I was doing an SSTO, then refused to elaborate further and just went on some massive tangent about Kerbal Space Program 2, it seems. My original plan was to fly this thing to the moon, because I feel like moon SSTOs, I just seemed to make billions of those videos back in day. So I thought, why not go return to form, return to tradition, what have you, make a moon SSTO video. But then I was like, I don't actually know if the thrust rate ratio of this craft is good enough. It has enough delta V, right? And I'm like, I don't know if it physically can land on the Mun. And I was limited by time budgets here, guys. I literally had one day, well, one afternoon to sit down, build the craft, design the craft, fly the craft, do the mission, film it all, and then edit it and do this wonderful commentary, which is not scripted. Didn't have a time to write a script. Don't know if that was obvious. So just ad-libbing the whole thing. Not that I write scripts for my Kerbal Space Program videos anyway. I feel like I quite like the random sort of, I don't want to say like random tangent, style of them, but I think they have a nice sort of conversational tone, a bit more, relaxed pace, a bit more of a, I say conversational, but I mean, like, it's just a one-sided conversation, right? I'm just talking into my microphone and that gets broadcast to your ears. That was a weird way of phrasing that. Yeah, to whatever device you happen to be, listening on. But I feel like, how are you? I feel like I talk a lot. How are you doing? See, I can't hear you, but I'm assuming you replied. And to that I say, great. Well, hopefully it was good news. If it was bad news, I'm very sorry. But that's just the limitation of the medium. Maybe one day it'll be possible. I mean, it is possible. I could just do streaming and I have a chat. But I try streaming and my internet just sucks. Like, I'm in one of these places in the UK where your choices for internet are everything is terrible. And there's one company, Virgin Media, that offers fiber optic, and they're the only company that offers that. And from what I've heard from like telemarketing people arriving at my door telling me they're going to put in infrastructure, it's done really badly. Like, I can't even remember. I remember like their explanation, if it was even true. And I was like, yeah, that does sound a weird way of laying the cables. But it's the only option I have. And although it's fiber optic, it's still really slow and bad. So it's not very good for streaming. If you ever tuned into my live stream and said, Matt, why are you streaming at 720p? Well, that's why. I have a 4K screen. I run the games at 4K. Can't stream in 4K though. So one day, maybe hopefully one of these companies will actually fulfill their promises and lay down some fiber and compete with Virgin Media. But it's not the times we live in right now. So it's mostly going to be videos, VODs from me at this stage. And here we are coming in for a very, very safe and careful touchdown, it seems. Keeping it under 2 meters per second as we descend. There's absolutely no need to be this careful. And I say careful, and then I just land it on the engine bell of a nuclear-powered engine, and then use that engine bell as the fulcrum for the entire vehicle to then touch down. So it was kind of safe, kind of reckless. In that Kerbal Space Program in a nutshell, though. If not, I don't know what is. As here we are coming for our little touchdown. Just there, and a little hop, skip, and a jump, and we are touched down. But as I say, there is absolutely no need to come down that slowly. It's Minmus. You can pretty much hit the ground at like 15 meters per second. You're probably going to be fine. But there's just something a bit quite satisfying about coming down really, really controlled and slow and being at virtually 0 meters per second upon actual touchdown. It's almost like you're docking with the surface, right? Is that weird? Is that a weird phrase to have audio bited? I don't know. Anyway, there's the space plane. Touchdown. Now we can get our Kerbals out on EVA up. Some of them, the hatch is blocked because the hatch is on the underside where the wheels are attached. But we have a little Kerbal here whose hatchway was not obstructed. So the spacewalk is going to be done by this brave... the UI just disappeared, so I can't even read his name. Hang on, let me just... Doing a little spacewalk. Yep. Am I going to re-enable the UI? There we are. What does that say? Ludbul Kerman. And there you go. He's planting the flag. And because it's not KSP2, the flag works. It's not just reverted to the default KSP logo. We got my Lowne Aerospace logo. I don't know. The field of view for the camera I felt was pretty good, actually. Like when he got out and turned back to look at the space plane, it just looked much more big and imposing and intimidating. Or is intimidating the right word? Big and imposing. Whereas in KSP2, sometimes things don't look that great because you can't adjust the field of view slider. So I like having a really narrow field of view for the more cinematic-y shots, like in my films like Green Harvest and Into the Warp. There's a lot of like close POV. I don't know what the POV, FOV, narrow FOV, to kind of make things look bigger and grander compared to the Kerbals. And now we can just slowly mosey on. But you can see how slowly they're walking, right, guys? And I said that I kind of made this video on a time budget. I just frankly couldn't be bothered to get the Kerbals out on EVA. One strength of KSP2 over KSP1 is that, the KSP2's UI has a lot of very annoying things about it, like the parts manager, you can't just right-click stuff and things like that. But it does some things very well, including the Kerbin manager, where you can just click a window and you can see all your Kerbals all at once in every compartment all at once, and you can just drag and drop them between them. Whereas in this game, you got to like click on each Kerbal separately, click transfer, click on the pod you want to transfer them to, then it's a bit of a load whilst the transfer happens, then you get them out on EVA. I just couldn't be bothered to transfer all the other Kerbals into pods that they could EVA from, so there you go, that's what it is. So thank you just for tuning in and hearing me talk about how I couldn't be bothered to put effort into the video, it seems. But I feel like, you know, put effort in other ways. Like the design of the craft, I actually really like how this craft came out. I can't tell if it's like really ugly or really pretty, but I think it's an interesting design nonetheless. Certainly a departure from most SSTOs in this game, which is like either the Mark 1 or Mark 3 fuselage pieces, right? Because those are kind of the best fuel tanks to use, because you can have pure liquid fuel in them rather than liquid fuel and oxidizer, which is what I'm stuck with these. With the central fuselage tanks, I had to drain some of the oxidizer from the orange tank just to get the balance, the ratio a bit more efficient. And here we are. To be honest, I probably shouldn't have deployed that rear landing wheel. I just wanted to deploy it because I put it on the craft specifically for this purpose, to stop engine strikes upon Minmus takeoff, or Mun takeoff, before I decided to just go the cowardly way and went to Minmus instead. But in the end, as you can see, I couldn't really pitch up aggressively enough, and I ended up just sort of skipping along the surface of the Minmus flats. So I feel like if I hadn't deployed that wheel, I could have easily just pitched up and it all would have been fine. So don't know why I brought that up, to be honest. But yeah, like I say, it's been a recurring subject in this video. I've been quite time constrained because I'm away this weekend, but actually thinking about it, I'm away quite a lot. Well, it's summer, isn't it? So we're doing lots of things. So next weekend I'm going skiing, but it's like I live in a city called Plymouth in the UK, and there's just a ski slope here. It's like just AstroTurf on the side of a hill. So I will be in my hometown. So I will be around to like make a video, but that's going to be like a day sort of lost working on videos and stuff. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. Like I have a job, so I can't just make things on like Wednesday during the day and stuff, right? And then the following weekend, I'm at Bike Park Wales all weekend going mountain biking. I hope. I say I hope because I cracked my rib a few weeks ago. Well, either I cracked my rib or I bruised my rib. I think I obviously didn't break it because I wasn't in absolute agony, but I definitely injured it. And it's kind of a funny story. I was at the Thorpe Park, which is a theme park in the UK, one of the biggest actually. The UK's got a few small theme parks, but it's got 3 big ones: Alton Towers, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and Thorpe Park. And of those 3, kind of Thorpe and Alton are the bigger one. They're the closest we have to like Six Flags, I guess. And I've never been to Thorpe Park, and we happened to be going to London for something, and so I thought let's go to Thorpe Park whilst we're in London, because I've never been. And Hyperia is opening there in a few weeks, so right now no one's going to go now. Why would you go before Hyperia opens, right? Because Hyperia is this amazing looking coaster. Mac rides, tallest and fastest coaster in the UK. The first drop is insane. It's like King Dakar and Top Thrill Dragsters drops after the top hat, but it's just like a normal roller coaster, like straight vertical. Then it looks very good if you're into roller coasters. But there's lots of other good coasters in Thorpe Park, like Saw the Ride, the Swarm, Nemesis Inferno, second best Nemesis coaster in the world, as we know. So let's just do that because I want to go on those other rides. And we decided to go on the log flume. It's called Tidal Waves. It's one of the traditional kind of oldie, well, I say old, like I guess 1980s, 1990s style log flumes, I guess. And so there's like a lap bar, but it doesn't really hold you in the car. It's sort of there to just sort of stop you from standing up, I guess. So it doesn't really retract, and like it doesn't touch you basically. Like you would have to lean forward in order to make contact with the bar with your chest, if that makes sense. This is a key piece of information. So we go up the little like lift hill, we round the top, we start approaching the drop, and as we go over the edge of the log flume drop, I looked ahead and I saw the little camera. So you know, on roller coasters and rides and stuff, there's usually a camera that takes your photo during intense moments, so you're looking scared, you buy a picture, put it on a keyring, etc. So I thought, I'm gonna wave to the camera. So I waved to the camera. So I'm trying to, I just did the mime in my, like, sitting in my chair, and then I realized you guys can't see me. So basically I turned to the right, like I sort of rotated my upper body to the right to look directly at the camera, and I waved at the camera. And I was just making eye contact with the camera, and I didn't really notice when we were actually hitting the water. And I didn't brace myself, and I wasn't prepared for just how quickly the deceleration would be. As soon as the boat hit the water at the bottom, it like stopped so quickly, and I was thrown forwards, and one rib took my entire body weight against the lap bar that I was sort of thrown into. And it was very painful. And I was like, the wind was completely knocked out of me. Like, I was with Beth, my girlfriend, on the ride. She was like, oh, that was fun. And I was like, yes, Beth, it was very good. I couldn't talk. And then it kind of sucked, because then I went on like other roller coasters like the Swarm, which have got relatively high G-forces. And literally on the bottom of every drop was just agony. But I still did it, because roller coasters are fun, right? So it's kind of like, I didn't do myself any favors, basically. So fast forward to now, it's still kind of a bit painful. Like if I'm coughing or breathing like deeply, I can feel, like it doesn't hurt anymore, but I can feel my rib. So I'm a bit worried that this might prevent me from going mountain biking in Bike Park Wales. But I've just taken it easy. I've got another couple of weeks. I think like it will be exactly 6 weeks to the day when I go. And bruised ribs, cracked ribs, they take about 6 weeks usually to heal. This is not medical advice, by the way, so don't take this as that. So that's I should have really had it x-rayed, but I felt like, you know, regardless if it's bruised or cracked, you can't brace it, right? It's the same thing. You just rest, and that's how like. Again, this is not medical advice. So here we are. I'm just approaching the Kerbal Space Center, as you can see. I was coming in very high, very fast, and I was like, I think I'm going to overshoot, actually. But rather than, you know, just reloading a quick save and trying to get a bit closer, I just thought, well, we've got loads of fuel left, actually. We've got a ridiculous amount of fuel. We've got over 3,000. Okay, well, it's dropping. But we've got a lot of we got a high delta V number. We got a good old range left in this craft, thanks to the efficiency of the air-breathing Rapier engine. So we can easily just fly to the runway under power for a bit. That being said, though, I think we got pretty close. We definitely could have like glided. That doesn't sound right. Glided. Is that correct? Is it glidden? Glideth? It's glided, right? It just, you know when you say a word, right, and it does, or like you write a word down correctly, and it just doesn't look correct, and you're like, is that right? I don't know. Like narcissism is ironically fitting for this. like when I see the word narcissism written down, I'm like, that just doesn't. It's too many C's and too many S's. But I guess, you know, maybe I am spelling it wrong. Who knows? Here we are, by the way. There's the Kerbal Space Center ahead of us. We're also above the water, so you can see the beautiful effects of scatterer. It's one of the things that mod does, which is make the water look nice. One video I'm definitely going to make is how to make KSP1 as close to KSP2 as possible. I know I said I wasn't going to call it KSP1, but I just forgot. And I was just trying to be insulting to KSP2 at the time, to be honest. So it was a bit of a joke. But yeah, how to mod KSP1 to be like what KSP2 was supposed to be. So visual mods, which I think I've done a pretty good job showcasing in this video. But there's other ones, you know, that let you paint your parts like you can in KSP2. There's also mods that add colonies. There's also mods that add interstellar. There's mods that add multiplayer. So I'll make a video just sort of showcasing how you can make Kerbal Space Program 1, Kerbal Space Program 2, basically. Probably do it in like separate chunks. So there'll be a section of the video just if you want stock KSP, but with the visuals of KSP2. Or I think in this case, this looks potentially even better than KSP2. UI looks a bit dated, but there's a good mod that makes the UI of KSP1 look more like KSP2's. Like, it's the same layout as KSP1, but it just sort of snazzens it up, bumps up the contrast and sharpens it up and makes it look a bit more up-to-date and in keeping with KSP2's UI's color scheme. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to install that mod, I think, at some stage. But there we are, by the way. We've landed. It's a brilliant commentary, isn't it? There we are. I feel like I didn't need to specify that, but there you are. This is my return to grace, return to the greatest Kerbal Space Program game of all time. I hope you enjoyed it, basically. And thank you to all my Patreon supporters for supporting this content. Don't really know what the future holds for this channel, to be honest. It's a bit frustrating in the sense that, you know, I don't know what to do now. Do I just wait for KSP2 news or just stick with So very much looking forward to reading some comments about how you think I should go ahead with things. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.